This is a review of Survivor Season 50, Episode 9. I deserved all of this. Welcome to the Dillonberry Network. We are back with another review of Survivor 50. This time, pretty wild episode, Episode 9. We missed last week, but we're back this week for a powerhouse episode. Joining me as always, repping his Survivor 50 buff, Richie Becerra. Looking great. You're kind of wearing it a little different today. You're letting it flow out the back. That feels more classic Survivor.
It is, for sure.
And I like it. Richie, we were off last week, but we do have some business to take care of.
That we do.
Because you had picked Coach on the week that Coach and Chrissy got the boot. And so I got to pay for that. I'm going to pay for it because I went to Rocky Point last weekend, Mexico. Shout out. And so I got I got a little bit of this, and I know we like to pull from the bottle, Richie, but I thought that maybe this cup would be pretty good for today. Got a Jimmy Fallon.
That's a great one.
Cup here. Richie, talk to me about last week, episode 8, the double boot. I guess that was episode 8, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was crazy, dude. Like something just
salute.
never before seen in Survivor history. I saw a lot of mixed kind of feelings on Twitter on whether people thought it was fair or not fair. I mean, I didn't hate it because I think at this point they know they got to get rid of people. When you signed up in this pair, you should have known going into this pair that, hey, this is who I could have a good shot of going home with. So I think if you really are a good player, you kind of think that. I think you could kind of see Sari had the forward mind to, hey, let me offer myself to go to be the one person without her. I think a couple other people did, but she ended up winning. So luckily for her, it was a no sweat tribal for Sari.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they had to get rid of people. Survivor's all about adapting. Of course, we know that. Sometimes it's easy to adapt. Sometimes it is not. I think episode 9 is a good example of a time where it's very hard to adapt, especially if you're one person. But let's get into it. We are going to recap the episode. We're going to do a Survivor press conference at the end. If we could ask a Castaway or Jeff a question, what would it be? We're going to talk about who's Survivor stock up or down. We will rename the episode because I deserved all of this. I think that's a soft title. I think we could do a little better than that. Then we'll predict who goes home next week. I kind of hope that you're right again because that remontada, so good. Not a sponsor yet. Let's get into the episode. It starts off really because episode 8, one of the big things that it ended with was Devens picked up his idol that he had planted with Christian early on. That seemingly caused the vote to go away from him and then ended up being Coach and Chrissy. That's probably the right read on that, right? They all kind of freaked out, turned into Coach and Chrissy, and we're seeing the fallout from that. So he confides in Emily and lets her know what's going on, which I guess only Christian, Emily, and Devens know about that idol. Sari says now Devens has a huge target on his back. Aubrey wants to distance herself from Devens, and Joe tells Devens that he wasn't going to write his name without telling him. There's like this weird kind of thing. What do you make of Devens getting this idol and kind of being a target, being really the first target of the episode?
Yeah, I mean, rightfully so. I think it's kind of, too, the way he went about going to get the idol, too. We see in a little bit, too, where kind of Joe's reenacting how he's all frantic, and they're having a good laugh about that. But I think he could have gone about it in a better way, and I think he could have made up a better lie about, I can't use it tonight. Like, I got to take it back to the beach.
Right. Yeah. Ultimately, like, it did the job it was supposed to do, and he, of course, got away with it again.
Maybe.
I mean, did you think it was going Coach Chrissy no matter what? Because it seemed like...
Yeah.
Really? Because they all got back. Even Stephanie's like, I can't believe I lost Coach and Chrissy, and, like, they're all...
The whole thing was that they were ready to vote somebody else out, and then as soon as Sari comes back from Exile Island, she's like, oh, no, that's the wrong move. Coach and Chrissy's the way to go. And it's kind of been the last couple episodes what she's saying is kind of going.
Yeah, and that really didn't stop this episode either. So from there, we also see Christian really struggling this whole episode, which I don't know if this is like a normal thing, but like feels like with these boot episodes, they really are letting Like these people get their like one last big episode in.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if they'll keep doing that, which is maybe the right way to do it rather than just randomly booting them and after you didn't hear from them all episode. But Christian, he wants people to think Devens is a big target. He offers his shot in the dark to Jonathan. He tries to put this target on Devens like early in the morning one morning, and it's just awkward. No one's really buying what Christian is selling. And then Christian just goes to the Queen Suri and says, let's get Ozzy out. Little does he know that's a terrible idea, even though Christian and Ozzy are allegedly aligned, supposed to be aligned. What did you make of Christian kind of early scrambling here? At least the edit told us he had a target on his back.
Yeah, I think he feels that too, and I think he's kind of just trying to throw whatever he can. He's taking whatever shot he can take, and if it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, like, what's the worst that happens? If he was going to go anyway, so I respect what he's doing. Just it's a little it's sad.
Yeah. It was awkward. It clearly wasn't working out, and everyone was kind of salty about the whole Devens thing, and that Christian. I mean, he wasn't necessarily tied to it, but I don't know. Ozzy had clearly been fed up enough, and of course, Suri turns around, tells her ally, her number one, Ozzy, because she's like, if I'm picking between Christian or my number one, it's going to be Christian. She eventually says, and that's kind of a lot of the strategy we see early on in this episode. Then we get to the immunity challenge, and the immunity challenge is a pretty long one because it's pretty eventful, historic immunity challenge, where Jeff Probst decides to take on everyone for a bag of rice. I will say a small bag of rice. I'll go out on a limb and say that rice did not look very big.
Yeah.
He reveals that this was a Jimmy Fallon idea. He asks for 5 people. They only offer 4. And then, of course, he takes them on. There's the trash talk sequence that's awesome. They go back to Jeff's. We saw this in the trailer, too, of Jeff trying this challenge. What did you make of this moment? I thought this was a pretty good Survivor 50 moment.
I thought so, too. Like you said, for 50, this is a great time to try something like this, too. I think it was a little humbling, too, for Jeff. And I think he even says that in like a post presser thing. Like, as soon as he undid the grasp, he thought they were playing a joke on him. And it was just way heavier than he expected. Yeah. And I mean, he's been eating, showering, all that. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's 63 years old. All these people have been about 2 weeks without food, good sleep, or anything. And he ultimately loses to 7 of the castaways. I counted 7 people who were still up. I mean, Tiffany, Ozzy, Joe, Jonathan were the only ones that were willing to do it for the rice. I'm kind of shocked by that not more people. But I guess when you're standing there and it's, your heart's racing, you're like, what the heck's going on? That might be something you don't want to jump in to, but you get a great moment here, and everyone is holding on to 25% of their body weight at original body weight, which like we said early on, a lot of these people bulked up and like put on weight, which Joe was one early on. We were like, dude, that dude looking hulky from how we remembered him in 48, especially at the end of 48. But Joe wins kind of with ease here. I noticed too on the second watch, he had like triple the spool that Ozzy did, and he was leaning back with one arm like he's on a jet ski, calling out to his sister, which is a callback to his big storyline. I thought that was cool. It wasn't too much, but that was there. And then Joe gets to pick someone to go on a journey. We get a little rock paper scissors journey, and it ends up being Christian. Anything else from this immunity challenge you liked or was interesting?
I did like they showed a little montage of Jeff talking trash to past contestants and past seasons. That was really cool too.
Yeah, that's the best. I mean, because Jeff during the challenges is one of the more iconic things. I did like there was a moment too where Rizzo started to commentate, didn't quite work out that well. Then he goes, "Here comes a professional broadcaster, Devens." You could tell he wanted Devens to do it. Yeah. And he even said, "Devens, you're not going to win this challenge," which was kind of crazy that he said that. Devens comes out, does the challenge, commentary a little bit. But yeah, then the journey comes down to Christian and Ozzy, and Christian goes. And we kind of see that play out in a bit. Before we see Christian's journey, though, we see the rice, which I don't feel like we always get to see them enjoying the rice, which like Joe had so much on that leaf, and they look like it looked like good fluffy rice, to be honest with you. Suri and Emily going at it a little bit over rice. Did that feel like classic Survivor, or did you think they're leading us towards a certain head to head.
Yeah, I think a little bit of both for sure. And I mean, if you're Emily, like this is Cerie's sixth time playing Survivor, let her make the rice.
Yeah, that's
This is
true.
your second time, and you've played on seasons where you just automatically get rice too. Like
Yeah.
it was definitely a strange thing I think for Emily to keep going at it and going at
Yeah, and it kind of seemed like they ate all of the rice that they got. Like
it.
they were pounding it. The way it was steaming off of like Rizzo's like hand and whatnot was crazy. They made it look pretty good, and they all seemed to get back to level after getting that rice. So,
Hmm.
seemed to be a good thing. Now we get to Christian's journey. This is a big part of the episode. He is out on, in the middle of the ocean, a lot like, almost exactly like the Rachel Lamont challenge from 46, I believe, and which was one of my favorite journeys maybe they've ever done in the new era, just because that was so cool how that timer went, and she had to maneuver balls and get them all to be the same color. It
Hmm.
was a different type of puzzle, electric, and it was a big part of her winning game. And with Christian, he has to disassemble a puzzle. And you would think, I mean, when I was watching it, did you have the thought that Christian's got this in the bag?
Oh, I mean, never a doubt. I mean, they're showing the spools leaving. I'm like, they always do this. Like, they show the spools, like, there's not much left, and they always get it done. I'm like, just get it to the end where he's going to finish it. But as we see, he somehow does not finish the puzzle.
Does not finish it and really does not come close. Maybe he had like
No.
four or five, six,
Hmm.
seven pieces left. I don't know. And of course, like with the challenge and with the journeys, like there are two options, one good, one bad.
Hmm.
What did you make of these two options? One was you get to put in a vote right now that goes in ahead of tribal. I don't believe it counts as an extra vote, but it does. It is just a vote pre-tribal that no one knows about, but it's already in the
Hmm.
urn. The other one
Yeah.
is you take an envelope home and you read it. What do you make of that? Like, does that, obviously we know what the note ends up being, but on
Yeah.
its face value, did you think that made sense?
No, I don't like that just because I think if you win something like that, you stick your neck out on the line, you should get something that's worth more. I
Yeah.
mean, this is worth almost half a vote because you could put it out there and then you get back to camp and your alliance isn't even voting that way. And it's just a waste of the vote at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a weird one. I loved the uncertainty of you have to bring this envelope back to camp and
Hmm.
read it aloud, because
Yeah.
I do like that. Oh man, that's gonna be something crazy. We do see him get back to camp, and of course this was all done by Jimmy Fallon, of course, and Christian's gonna be on Jimmy Fallon Thursday night, which is pretty great too. I'm excited to see how that goes. But yeah, he comes back and he explains how Jimmy Fallon set up this whole challenge. Then he's like, I got to read this thing out loud, and he reads that. He calls it the note of shame, which I love too. Which I think there should be more of the note of shame, just not like this. He says that for the first time in Survivor history, I will write my own name down. And because what I'll say about this note of shame is that it didn't feel fair at all. Like, especially the fact that, like, one, you get to put a vote in an urn. That's like interesting, new, unique.
Hmm.
And I get that it's also new that you get to write your own name down, but that's like worse than not having a vote. Like, you're putting one
Yeah.
on yourself.
Hmm.
I thought that was a really terrible consequence for this late in the game in Survivor 50, that I don't care who it was out there, even if it was someone I'm not really rooting for. I think this would have been like really just a bummer for anyone to have gotten. And I don't know a single person who maybe would have even gotten out of this situation.
Hmm.
What did you make of how this note of shame shook out?
No, I agree. And I think Emily kind of does talk about it a little bit. I think it brings back, I think they want these players to second guess going on these journeys. All of these guys and girls, they just jump at the chance to go on one to try to win something because the past, okay, hey, maybe I lose my vote, but I can make up a story. So I think this was kind of journeys.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just tough. And I wanted to bring up the Emily thing too, because she says it kind of in Scrambling, and she says it at Tribal, but Emily is
Mm-hmm.
very on the page of it's Survivor 50. I don't want to go on journeys. I guess, I don't know, that felt really like that's not very Survivor 50 to have that mentality, or is the cautious mentality the right one here? because I don't know who's been rewarded with great things. I mean, I guess Rizzo and Ozzy went to extinction, and then suddenly they were on the jury, and like they're locked in. Yeah, do you think they're ultimately not worth it? I always feel like, hey, there's something out there.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on where you feel like you're at in the game. And I guess Christian kind of feeling like he's on the bottom anyways, and it makes sense for him to go on it. But if I'm somebody like Suri or Ozzy or even Joe who like thinks he's kind of higher up, like why even chance going on these if I'm going to risk hurting my alliance?
Yeah. Eventually, during the scrambling, Christian gives his shot in the dark to Jonathan. He makes a funny thing where he says, I will be writing down Christian tonight. He's honest about it, who he's writing down. This is when Emily then pitches Ozzy to Suri and Tiffany and says, hey, look, this is our chance to get Ozzy. Christian seems too obvious. I think maybe she's protecting Christian here more than she's letting on as her ally. But then Tiffany's pretty on board with Rizzo or with Ozzy. But then Rizzo really makes the case that Christian is just, he's a lame duck. He's got to vote against him. It's just so obvious. He's not in our alliance. Let's take him out. And yeah, we see it go from Rick to Emily to Christian. It seems like they believe Rick's idol, right? Like I can't fully tell if everyone buys that he has an idol because he's not showing the parchment. He didn't show, look, I have the idol. He just had it wrapped up.
I think there's probably some of them that do not believe.
Yeah.
Like I know Stephanie kind of even said in her last episode Instagram caption, like she didn't really buy it. That's why she asked him to show it.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that we're just not seeing stuff of them talking about it, which I kind of wish we did get to see a little bit more of whether they believe or not.
Yeah. Yeah. It didn't really feel like it did feel like a pretty straightforward vote coming out of it. I was kind of shocked how it ended up being all over the place. But once we get to tribal council, the talk of rice quickly turns to rage with Christian. You can tell he's wearing the day he's had on his sleeve here because he's just so mad and he's so fed up. And, he had a really big emotional moment out there on the water, where he talked about like smart people feel dumb constantly, but they try to hide it, which I was like, man, like, I feel so bad for you smart people. Like, us dumb people, we feel that all the time. Like, you just got to wear it. And, yeah, he gives this big thing of just how mad he is and how frustrated he is. Because, I mean, I would feel if I was Christian, like, I had zero power in the game, and I'm really hoping for luck. You can't even use your shot in the dark. You are just handcuffed to this kind of disadvantage. Emily, this is where she kind of says, like, I don't go on journeys. That's just my strategy. That's how I play. And... yeah, Suri does a good little fake out too that says like, hey, we could go with the easy automatic vote or we could play Survivor, which maybe was like I thought that was a good line that I was just like, play some Survivor because it probably made other people go like, oh, what's going on? But also shows that, yeah, it's probably still going to Christian. And then Jeff reads the votes in a pretty wild order. Where it's kind of Ozzy, where it's Devens, right? It's Devens, it's Ozzy, and it's and then it's Christian, and Christian ends up going home. So that's pretty crazy. I mean, he had a big start to the season, and it was amazing to see Christian come back. I hope he comes back for another season. I would love to see Christian Hubicki on my screen once again, and it was good to see him mix and mingle with everyone. I think he played hard too at the beginning, made some big moves early, and it kind of did feel at the early in the game like, oh shoot, is this Christian's season?
Yeah.
But maybe they were also thinking like, oh, he's not there in the end. Let's show a lot of him early. Any words for Christian as he departs?
Yeah, I think he came back, played a great job. I don't necessarily want to see him play again. I don't think he's made to win Survivor at this point. Yeah, I think there's a lot of just other people I'd rather see get a second chance than see him play for a third time.
Yeah. Let me ask you something, and I thought of this too. So 24 Survivors play in season 50. If we played Survivor 50 24 times, how many different winners do you think we'd get? That's hard.
I would guess 10 to 12.
Yeah. I think so too. I think, yeah, certain people would win multiple times. Certain people would.
I think maybe we would get one double winner in there. So
Well, I
maybe
mean,
you get a D or a Kyle in there somewhere.
yeah, no, yeah, someone would get all the way to the end.
Hmm.
Maybe like a Sandra. Yeah, I just thought that was interesting because I'm like, yeah, you just never know how the balls are gonna drop and whatnot. How the balls are gonna drop. Is that the phrase? I think that's
That's the
something
phrase for
else.
you, brother.
I think that's something else. Let's go into Survivor press conference. If you could ask Jeff or Castaway a question immediately following episode 9, Richie, what would it be?
My question would be for Jimmy Fallon.
Ooh,
And I want to know if he has any
James.
regrets about his choice of advantage, disadvantage.
Yeah, I have a feeling he is going to be very apologetic because,
Hmm.
like of all people, like I think Christian too is the worst one to break his heart because he just has
Oh,
this
yeah.
lovable, fragile
Hmm.
little heart that you're like, man, like you feel for that guy, and I mean he was just so honest and so vulnerable. I would guess that Jimmy gives that up. That's a good question. I think Jimmy listens to the show, so maybe he'll get back to us. I had a couple. I want to know who Christian would have voted for. I think that's interesting. I bet he
Hmm.
said it somewhere. I wonder if it would have been Ozzy because he kind of kept saying Ozzy a bunch of times. Also, this for the challenge department is I would love to know how much they tested that challenge and how much actual time is those anchor drops. Like, is that 2 minutes? Is
Mm,
that 90
yeah.
seconds? Is it, what is it? Is it different every time?
I heard him say something like it was a minute per drop. I don't know
Yeah.
if he was just saying that or
Yeah, a minute. Well, a minute per like that feels like that's doable then too. And I don't know. I mean,
you would
adrenaline.
think.
He did seem pretty
Yeah.
rattled out there. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe he
Like
gets seasick.
he was walking up there probably at a minus 250. Like Christian
Yeah.
puzzle advantage. I would have been like, yeah, I think we hammer that. Like that's a good spot. And a bummer to see him go that way. It was also crazy. I saw someone tweeted that the puzzle stayed together when it was underwater. It like didn't break apart, and I'm like, oh, that's a good point. That's kind of funny. I love that. I hope they bring back that journey again because that's an electric moment. Let's go into stock up, stock down. Whose stock is up and whose stock is down after episode 9? Let's
I
go.
have stock up for Suri once again.
Yeah.
She kind of ran the episode a little bit. I mean, I'm kind of building off a little bit of last week too. She comes back to says who's going home. They go home. This episode, everyone's kind of feeding her information, and she's kind of pretty much deciding who she wants to go with. There was almost like her, Ozzy, and Rizzo were in the middle of the nerds versus the honest, and they end up going with the honest people.
Yeah, the edit has definitely showed us that Suri has so much power and that Suri is controlling so many of the votes, and that worries me a little
Mm-hmm.
bit in terms of how they like to misdirect.
Uh huh.
Because like they're not. I
Yeah.
don't think they're gonna let someone dominate all season and then they win. But she's been dominant and she's
Mm-hmm.
had the best social game of the season, and I agree. Her stock is up here as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, simply because she drove it. I do think they gave Rizzo a little bit of credit there too of fighting off Tiffany because Tiffany was making good points and was passionate and was like, "Let's get rid of Ozzy." But then Rizzo,
Mm-hmm.
they showed us that Rizzo was like, "Nah, it's got to be Christian." And but I'm going with Suri there as well. Who
Mm-hmm.
you got for stock down?
Stock down. I went with Emily.
Yeah.
Loses kind of one of her number ones. Has this little spiff with Sari that I feel like just seems like foreshadowing
Yep.
whether they're going to have a big argument, they're going to try to get each other out, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's I'm with you as well. Emily didn't really the votes didn't go her way. It didn't do well in the challenge. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why, but I guess you're right with the cautious thing. It does make sense, but I just don't love that. And like I don't want the Survivor 50 winner to be the one that was cautious and like sat back and avoided all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that that's verbally her mindset, I don't know. I have a hard time getting behind that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with you there. Let's rename the episode. Um, I deserved all of this is the name of the episode. I probably Christian said that. But how would you rename the episode?
I kind of wanted to play into the little fun that Jeff had, so I went with you got to dig, Jeff.
You gotta dig, Jeff. I like that. I like that. That's good. I went with the time to strike. I think Rizzo said that. Now's the time to strike. And Christian was vulnerable. It's time to strike. Take
Mm-hmm.
him out. That's a powerful, dangerous player. Not someone you want to sit next to at the end. And that's kind of what we're getting into. So I like that. I like that one. So let's talk about who goes home in episode 10. I'm guessing we got a double boot coming next week because it's a 2-hour episode.
Mm-hmm.
We got another Jimmy involved, Mr. Beast, who's going to be on the island, who's bringing with the Survivor auctions something here. Who do you think goes home next week? Probably got 2 chances.
I'm going to go with Devens.
Oh, dude, I wrote down Devens. But you can have Devens. So then I'll, if it's Devens, I'll go Suri. I'll take Suri.
Ooh,
I'm gonna call the shot. Like I think I talked myself into it just because we've seen so much of her good gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's gonna be like Christian, where we saw a lot of good Christian, had a great Christian moments. He pooped himself. It was huge. It was electric. We've seen Suri dominate, which we didn't get to talk about, but she flipped those coconuts and she got that big advantage. Got to go back to camp. Changed the game in a lot of ways. Maybe episode 10, we see Suri go home. And maybe it's Mr. Beast's fault. And maybe that's what gets Survivor fans real pissed off. Because you took out Suri, Mr. Beast. If he does that, man, he's in trouble. A lot of people are going to sue him.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to sue him.
Sign me up.
All right, that's episode 9. One other note I had is just, and I tweeted this and I saw you liked it. But man, is that Hammock? The Hammock is like, I've never seen a more important area in a Survivor season than the Hammock. Whether it's Christian beneath the Hammock or Coach in the Hammock or wherever, but where the Hammock is, that must be where the magic is.
Where everything's
right?
going down. Yeah,
This is where the magic happens. That's what they got to say. This Hammock. All right. Well, that's episode 9. Richie. Look, OKC is up 2-0 on the Phoenix Suns. What I should say is the Oklahoma City Thunder are up 2-0 against the 8th seed in the West. How are you feeling? To me, it's a bit of a scrimmage. I'm having a better time watching the Ducks.
Yeah.
What do you make of at least how the boys look?
The best part about this is just the Suns fans crying about the whole free throw thing when last game the Thunder shot 2 more free throws, and that was because of technical fouls. It's so funny to me.
Yeah.
The people who say things but don't know the actual stats and facts, I love it.
Yeah. Facts don't care about your feelings, right?
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton of hope with watching the Suns. I don't even want them to squeeze out one win. Because
I've said for years they need to trade Devin Booker in. I think people are starting to see it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, even I was looking at his output last night. I think he played 40 minutes and only put up 14 shots. Was it last night? Like the out
chamber.
Yeah. It was just like, oh man, he's not even, getting points. I don't know if that's, he had 14 shots. Dylan Brooks had 23. Jalen Green had 23. It's like, you'd think your max contract guy would be the one saying, give me the ball. But I'm also, a big believer that if Devin Booker is going to succeed, he needs a good point guard somewhere. You put him somewhere with a good playmaker, good point guard. Don't make him be the main guy who has to do all that. He can play well. And so I don't know if that's in Phoenix. I don't think he's going anywhere though too. I don't actually think this Suns team is going to change all that much next year. So it might just be sitting back watching the Thunder play for the next 10 years. They have first round draft picks.
Something like that.
They have like 4 first round draft picks next 10 years.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be back next week. Tune in. We'll see you then.